In lesson 16-17, we're going to be going from ratios to rates. So some vocabulary we're going to be talking about has to do with rate. So a rate is a ratio of two quantities. So what makes this different from a ratio is that in ratios we can compare any two numbers. A rate is a ratio. It's more specific in the fact that it's two different units that we are comparing. So when we've been doing ratios, we can compare boys to girls because they're both people. In a rate, it would be something that can't really be compared to one category. So for example, we do a lot with the next couple down here, unit price, which is how much it is for items. So the next one says unit rate, which is a rate simplified to be compared to one. So it's how much it is of something for one. A unit price is more specific in that it's the amount something costs for one item. And then a rate unit is just the units of the rate used. So there's no numbers involved with a rate unit. It's just the units you're looking at. So some examples of this are miles per hour. Notice there's no number there. It's just telling you the two units that you're comparing. So miles per hour, dollars per pack, and so on. Okay, so we're going to look at some examples. Example 1 says that Diet Cola was on sale last week. It cost $10 for every 4 packs of Diet Cola. So this is a rate. We're comparing money and packs of soda. So we can use rates that were given to find out how much things cost or how much it is for another unit, another number of the unit we're looking at. So we're going to use the idea that it's $10 for 4 packs of cola. Notice I'm labeling my fraction here, and I'm setting this up as a fraction because I'm going to use equal fractions to help me find my answer. So part A asks us, how much do 2 packs of Diet Cola cost? So since I have my money up top, I'm going to put my packs on the bottom and my money on the top. So money across from money, packs across from packs. So we're using this rate from the problem itself. And then we're going to put 2 next to P for packs. And then we're going to use our concept of equal fractions to find our answer. So to go from 4 to 2, I have divided by 2. Which means I'm going to take 10 and divide by 2 also. Because whatever we do to our denominator, we must do to our numerator. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this says it is $5 for 2 packs. Now the next one is asking how much does 1 pack of Diet Cola cost? 1 pack, since it's one item, this is a unit price, how much it is for one. When you're doing a unit price, I highly recommend putting your money in the numerator of your fraction and the item in the bottom. So I'm going to go back and use this original just because if I make a mistake here, I don't want to make that mistake continuously through the problem. So I'm going to go back to the original one. And sometimes you will need to use this one, but in this case we can go back to the original since we're going down to 1 pack. Okay, so here to go from 4 to 1, I'm dividing by 4. So to go from 10, I'm going to divide by 4 as well. Okay, so if I do 10 divided by 4, it goes in twice, and there is a leftover. What I'm going to do with this leftover, since I'm talking about money, is I'm going to make it a decimal. To make it a decimal when you're dividing, you place a decimal next to your dividend, you pull that decimal straight up into your quotient, and then you can attach as many zeros as you need because 10 and 10.0 both have the same value. So I can just keep adding zeros if I have a decimal point and it doesn't change what I'm actually dividing. So I'm going to pull down this 0, and now 4 goes into 25 times. So I get $2.5 for 1 pack. Now typically in money we don't say, oh, I'm carrying around $2.5 in my pocket. We usually with money go out to the hundredths place. So in order to make this go to the hundredths place, I'm just going to attach a 0 on the end. in that it's not changing that value because, again, we have a decimal point. So if you have a decimal, you can attach zeros to the end of the number and it won't change its value. So it's $2.50 per pack. Okay? And that, again, is a unit price. And another way that you may write this is $2.50 per pack. Some things here that we should know. Per means for one. Okay, so when you see that word per, know that it's talking about how much it is for one of something. You may also see it written like this. Oops. This line also means per. Okay, so if you see it like that, that's what that means. A couple of different ways to write that. Okay, let's look at another example. This one's another one for unit price. It says it costs $8.58 for 7 hair bows. What is the unit price? Round your answer to the nearest cent. Now, this is going to be important when we're talking about money. When we're talking about money, you should always round your answer to the nearest cent. So if it doesn't work out exactly to the hundredths place, it goes further than the hundredths place, you're going to want to round your answer. So the way I'm going to set this up is I'm going to put my money on top, because unit price is how much it is for one item. So I'm just going to put H for hair bows. I'm going to set that up equal to a fraction with my money over my hair bows. And I'm looking to find if it's unit price, the cost for one. Okay, so that means one hair bow. To go from 7 to 1, I divided by 7. So I will take my $8.58 and divide by 7. I'm going to use my calculator to do this. So I'm doing 8.58 divided by 7. And that gives me this nice big long decimal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull to the side and I'm going to write this decimal out to 3 places past the decimal. When you're rounding to the nearest cent, that means that you're going to round to the nearest hundredths place, which is 2 past the decimal. So in order to round to 2 past the decimal, you need to go 1 further to 3 past. The third digit is going to tell me what to do with that 2. It's either going to stay the same or it's going to go up. If this number, the one I'm using to round, is 0 through 4, the number to its left stays the same. If that number is 5 through 9, it tells the other number to go up. So since 5 is in this range, it's telling the 2 to go up, and my unit price would be $1.23 per hair bow. Okay, so looking at example 3, it says that Jane walked at a speed of 120 feet / minutes. Now, I'm not going to say slash when I read this. This says per. So remember we said that slash means per. So Jane walked at a speed of 120 feet per minute. Also remember that per means for one. So this is saying 120 feet for 1 minute. If she continues at this rate, how far will she walk in 10 minutes? So I'm going to use equal fractions here. I've got 120 feet for 1 minute. So I'll put that over 1 minute. It's now asking me, again, I'm going to put my units across from each other that are exactly the same. The extra information it's giving me is 10 minutes. So next to minutes, I'll put 10. To go from 1 to 10, I multiply by 10. So that means I'll multiply 120 by 10 to get my answer. Now to multiply a number by 10, all you do is stick a 0 on the end. So I would get 1,200 feet for 10 minutes. Okay, so use equal fractions and rates to help you determine your answers. Okay, so the next one says Dave can clean pools at a constant rate of 3/5 pools per hour. So now when we see a rate written as a fraction, so I'm just going to write this a little larger so we can see what it actually says. You're going to see this. So you have your fraction and then you have 2 units. What this means is this 3 goes with the first. So your numerator goes with the first unit. Your denominator goes with the second unit. So if I'm looking at the ratio of pools to hours, since 3 is my numerator and pools is my first unit, 3 is the number of pools. Since 5 is my denominator and hours are my second unit, my ratio is 3 to 5. 3 pools, 5 hours. It now asks me how many pools can Dave clean in 10 hours. So I'm going to take my ratio and write it as a fraction to use equal fractions. It's 3 pools in 5 hours. I'm trying to figure out how many pools in 10 hours. So once again, pools are across from pools, hours across from hours. I'm taking that extra information of the 10 hours and putting it where it goes, next to hours. To go from 5 to 10, I'm multiplying by 2. So to go from 3 to my answer, I'm going to multiply by 2 as well and get my answer of 6 pools. Now it's asking me how long does it take Dave to clean 15 pools. Okay, so I'm going to use my same ratio, 3 pools, 5 hours, set it up equal to pools over hours. In this case, the extra information from the problem is talking about a number of pools. So next to P for pools, I'll put the 15. To go from 3 to 15, I'm multiplying by 5. So to go for my hours, I'd multiply by 5 and get 25 hours. It's super important in these types of problems, if you're using equal fractions, to make sure you're labeling so that you're not putting your extra information in the wrong place. Okay, so make sure you're labeling your equal fractions.